Just ahead on American Black Journal, Detroit is fast becoming a hub for entrepreneurs. We'll have some helpful tips on how minority and women-owned businesses can succeed in the city. Plus, we'll tell you about a literacy and health movement aimed at improving the lives of Detroit youth. We've got some important information to share with you today, so stay right there. American Black Journal is next.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. National Small Business Week kicks off next month, and a major part of Detroit's rebirth is dependent upon the growth of businesses throughout the city. Detroit is fast becoming the place for aspiring entrepreneurs, and it's important that minorities and women have access to those same opportunities. According to the latest U.S. Census data, there is more than 32,000 minority-owned businesses in Detroit and 75,000 across the state. Women-owned businesses number more than 114,000 in the city and nearly 247,000 in Michigan. My guests today are hosting events next month designed to help entrepreneurs succeed. Mark Lee is president and CEO of the Lee Group, and Nicole Farmer is the founder of Lifeline Business Consulting Services. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Good to be here. Thank you.
So tell me first about the events that you guys have planned for next month.
Well, basically, you in your introductory comments, absolutely spot on. Detroit's a hub for entrepreneurship. And so what the program is focused on really is to provide tips and resources for those who are aspiring to start a business in Detroit. They may have started a business in the city, of course, and may have hit the wall. And so we have keynote speakers, including Nicole, and we have panelists who will be there. And we'll be focusing on issues and challenges and providing those ideas to help your business become successful.
Yeah, and the idea is to take not just people who may have an idea and not know how to make that idea into a business, but also people who've got that idea and are sort of starting out, but maybe it's growth that I think minority and women-owned businesses tend to face as the biggest challenge.
You're absolutely right. You actually need more dollars here in the city, and thankfully we have a lot of funding that will actually be there. You have Carolyn Casson with the Michigan Women's Foundation, where they actually specifically do loans for women in the city of Detroit.
Yeah. And I said in the open that Detroit is becoming a hub for entrepreneurs. What I probably should have said is Detroit was always a hub for entrepreneurs. That's what built the city, not just cars as we know, but manufacturing generally, which tends to inspire a lot of entrepreneurs, small business creation. Tell me, how different is that for minority and women-owned businesses? Is it in the same vein as we see other business creation in Detroit?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Detroit has always been a city of innovators. And what I'm noticing is that more and more people want to certainly land here and do things, but I think in the same vein, the challenges that we have are very similar. The number one challenge for all businesses, particularly amongst women and minority-owned businesses, access to capital.
Yeah.
And that is something that we want to be able to articulate on May the 14th. Is there are different types of resources out there for you, both the traditional and the non-traditional. So some of the challenges that you may see at large are certainly very similar when it comes to women and minority-owned businesses as well.
And access to capital, as Mark says, you've got traditional and non-traditional avenues to try to take care of that problem. For minority and women-owned businesses, though, the non-traditional paths are the ones that seem to be growing and sort of expanding, and now make it almost so that you don't need that traditional lending sector.
It's actually a lot easier. I mean, you have different organizations like Kiva, for instance. You need that $5,000 seed, and you just need someone like myself to back you. We're there for you just to get you launched so that you can start to test your product to see who likes it. A lot of times we are not feeling very confident about our business either, and so we really need to start building up our confidence and testing our product with the customers that we think that would like to purchase our products.
And where is the capital coming for these non-traditional sources? Where's that coming from?
Well, what I love right now is that there's so many different foundations that are coming together and creating this funding ecosystem. And then one of our our funders is actually the Detroit Micro Enterprise Fund, the Detroit Development Fund with the Michigan Women's
Development Fund, right? Yeah.
Yes, with the Michigan Women's Foundation, and Huntington Bank has actually provided a $25 million loan fund for us so that we can start to get this money out into the streets, so we can start building our neighborhoods and seeing these entrepreneurs flourish in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the number of minority and women-owned businesses in the open. If you just hear those numbers, you would think, well, the city's economy should be in much better shape, and people should have more jobs and more money in their pockets. What's the disconnect there?
I think the disconnect, though, while we have a significant number of minority-owned businesses in the city of Detroit, people still want to get their messaging out there. The awareness levels of those businesses are strong, but they need to become stronger. I think the other challenge that you will see in Detroit, a lot of businesses across all veins of business still fail. There's a lack of success with respect within 18 months. So while the numbers may be high, there's a great level of churn.
Right.
And we got to figure out the best way to get the information in their hands so they can become sustainable and successful over time.
And what's the main reason that these businesses fail?
You know, it's strategic planning. I'm always an advocate. If you have an idea, I have a lot of people, Steve, who come to me and approach me and say, Mark, I have a great idea. My first question is, what's your plan?
What's your plan?
Yeah, and unless you have that plan, you're not going to be always successful. And I think once you have that plan, it lays a foundation, a direction for you to become successful long term.
Right. And in your consulting business, you probably see this all the time. People just not prepared.
Exactly. They're not prepared, and they don't have a team. And so we actually provide accountants for them. We provide lawyers for them, because a lot of times they cannot technically afford.
They don't have that. Sure.
Right. They don't have that. And so now they have not a clue even how to spell the word financial, much less understand what a P&L statement is.
Right.
And so now giving them the tools in their toolbox so that they can fix that car in the proper way, that's what we love to do.
Right. Right. I want to talk more generally about Detroit. We are seeing this incredible new private investment of capital in certain areas, in downtown and in Midtown. It's starting to trickle out into the neighborhoods, I think, slowly. I think in the next 5 years we'll see that happen. One of the things that people are really concerned with is how many minority and women-owned businesses are getting to participate in that rebirth. I live downtown. I notice as much as anybody that dearth of people who look like us, who seem to be participating. What's the answer to that?
You know, I think that we have to somehow get the message out there across the entire city. Detroit's 139 square miles. And yes, you're right, there's a lot of investment, a lot of things happening downtown and Midtown. Nothing is wrong with that. I don't want to misconstrue. But I think the challenge, again, Stephen, is how do we get that information into the neighborhoods? Northwest Detroit, for example, Livernois Avenue is hot. A lot of investment.
No question.
Okay, how do we take that investment from Livernois to the other parts of the city? So to answer your question, the challenge is going to continue to be to make sure that people understand the access to capital, understand that we have resources in the city, in the neighborhoods to become successful. We got to figure out how to get that message out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, with my consulting firm, Lifeline, we've actually started to go into the churches.
Okay.
So going into the churches and now providing the one-on-one coaching, providing the consulting, providing these tools so that everyone can get on board and understand what the funding is. And so we're actually doing different pop-ups from east, west, north, and south so that everyone can get on board. And so once you start to see that your next door neighbor got some funding, when you start seeing your next door neighbor's sweet potato pie is now being placed at different organizations and they're getting great hot connections, then now you're ready to jump on board the next year. So it's really about confidence. We really don't have the confidence in our city because we've been so depressed for so long. And so once we start seeing our neighbor taking off, then I think that we'll start seeing more individuals taking off as well in the neighborhoods.
I mean, it sounds from both of you like the focus, your focus is more in the neighborhoods than it is downtown in Midtown. But is there a connection between that activity that we see in downtown and Midtown and the sort of rising economy in those areas and the neighborhoods?
I think so. For instance, I have a client, Miss Jones, Ayana Jones. She has a company called Pedicures and Shoes.
Okay.
She's a young lady, married, several children, and she has this brilliant idea of creating bringing pedicures and shoes together, and we found her a place downtown.
Is that right?
So now connecting her to a space downtown, now connecting her with the funding that she needs for a startup, connecting her with the free grants now. So really asking everyone to open up their Rolodex.
Right.
And then now let's get this young lady some help. So you're starting to see clients of mine starting to integrate into areas where we really may not feel like we're connected,
right.
but we are connected. We just have to now have the confidence again to go after our dreams and turn them into reality.
Yeah. And I think she makes a good point. You know, the grassroots really is important. People think that you have to have a significant marketing budget to start to get your messaging out there.
Sure.
You know, think about it, for example, 32,000 businesses. Let's assume they employ 5 to 10 people. That's 150 to 300,000 people employed. Right. Yeah. That's grassroots. If we can get them talking about their businesses, if we can get them going to their neighborhoods, if we can get them using social media, other forms of marketing approaches, if you will, your marketing budget does not have to be that significant.
Sure.
But the challenge is servicing your customer, making sure you're getting your messaging out there, and having people talk about your business.
Right, right. We've got about 2 minutes left. I quickly want to ask both of you, what do you feel like city government and state government here in Michigan could be doing more or better to help get minority and women businesses started and going in Detroit? What are some of the barriers that we need government to get out of our way?
You know, I think one, again, I want to make sure that we're clear that the access to capital has to be there for everyone.
Yeah.
I think that we need to have continuing grassroots programs out in the neighborhoods, getting involved in the faith-based organizations and other organizations out there, fraternities and sororities, if you will, as well. But I think that the government, the city of Detroit, needs to continue to break down the bureaucracy. There's a perception still that it takes a while to get things done. And if that perception is true with respect to bureaucracy, guess what? I'm not going to necessarily want to do it.
I may not even try.
I may not even try it.
Yeah.
Well, I love the Motor City Match makeover. Right?
That's a wonderful
I love
program.
the NEI ideas. But if we have 1,000 individuals connecting and trying to, in a sense, win only 50 people are going to be there in this countdown, what's going to happen with the 950 individuals?
With the other people, right.
Exactly. So I think that there needs to be a better connect as far as bringing all of the technical assistant providers together so that we can then service those 950 individuals to still bring their dreams into reality. I love the fact that Governor Snyder has provided such adequate funding for our programs currently, but I think more connection to different other government entities would help. We're actually connecting now with the returning citizens so that now we can teach returning citizens the art of entrepreneurship so that then now we can bridge a gap where we're not having this high crime. Now we're giving them a tool in their toolbox. Right, exactly. So.
Real quick, where can people find out how to attend the events?
Thank you for that. Go to leaguegroupinnovation.com. That's leaguegroupinnovation.com. Click on Small Business Workshop. It will be Thursday, May the 14th from 8:30 until noon at Techtown in Midtown Detroit, which is located at 440 Borough Street.
Okay, very good. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Just ahead on American Black Journal, we'll meet 2 women who are motivating children to read more books and eat healthier foods. That's next, right after this look at some important moments in Detroit's Black history.
I'm Kim Trent with a look back at African American life in Detroit. This week in 1993, City of Detroit Ombudsman Marie Farrell Donaldson suggested that local government mothball underpopulated and abandoned areas to reduce operation costs. In 1967, Atlantic Records released Respect by Aretha Franklin. And in 2005, U.S. Senator Barack Obama of Illinois was the keynote speaker for the Detroit branch NAACP Fight for Freedom Fund dinner. These are significant events this week in Detroit's Black history, taken from the book On This Day, African American Life in Detroit.
You're good. Every parent knows it can be hard to get your child to read more books and eat healthier. My next 2 guests are educators and writers who've created a literacy and health movement aimed at improving reading skills and reducing obesity rates among Detroit children. Much of their motivation came from their own experiences. Adra Young struggled with her weight throughout her childhood and into her teens, and Yvette Steins wrote a book titled Vernon the Vegetable Man when she heard about the growing number of overweight kids. The book encourages children to exercise, eat healthy, and set goals for themselves. I'm pleased to have Adra and Yvette here today on American Black Journal. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Stephen, for having us on.
Yeah, so tell me, where did this all start for you?
With the health and wellness, I've worked in education for 10 years, and I'm also a writer, and I've written primarily for lifestyle topics of health for Black Enterprise, Essence, and I also received a fellowship in health journalism. So to merge the two, I wanted to, those are my two worlds, education and health, so I wanted to help our children in a sense because they're our future. So in order to change anything, start with the younger generation.
Right. So you wrote a book about a vegetable.
Yeah. The vegetable man. So Vernon the vegetable man
right.
was my way to do that. Yeah.
Right. And give me an idea of the thrust of the book. I mean, I know it's hard to tailor those messages to kids in a way that they actually get it and do what you want them to do.
Sure, absolutely. So there's a little boy who struggles to play basketball, and he's on his way home because the children said he was a little slow, and he meets Vernon, who he initially thinks is an ice cream man, but he's a vegetable man. So Vernon, throughout the summer, gives him goals and health eating tips, and by the end of summer, he's reduced some weight and is very fast on the basketball court. And it also goes into setting goals as well for kids. And their outcome.
And for you, this was a much more personal
Oh my goodness.
journey.
I had a grandmother who had a candy store and I drank a lot of Coca-Cola in the bottle. So we know if we had those grandparents that fed us out of love, unhealthy foods, those habits stay with you.
Right.
Even throughout.
Very hard to break.
Absolutely.
Especially once you get into those teenage years and you're still eating that way. It's really hard to sort of
And
switch
Stephen,
gears.
even with me be in college, you know, on top of already with my weight fluctuating throughout my entire life, and then of course going to college my freshman year and gaining at college.
Get that
10.
15
so
or 20.
not only
I see
does my
mine was
weight
15 or
fluctuate.
20.
So absolutely. So when Vet asked me to merge with her to reiterate the importance of literacy and health, I was just so on it and willing to do it because it really hits home with me.
Right. Tell me about the point at which you really realized, okay, I've got to do something different for myself.
Well, absolutely. Eating fast food too much. And unfortunately, birds of a feather flock together. So I was hanging with people who did not eat healthy. And then it got to the point I said, you know what? I'm not feeling good about myself. I've got to make a change. And so unfortunately, with any unhealthy addiction, you have to sometimes remove yourself from those individuals or people.
I see, from the environment that sort of is encouraging
So I
the behavior.
started to do things like exercise. I joined a weight loss company to help me with that. I started exercising and I just started picking foods differently. Now, Stephen, I do a cooks and books show, so I still eat everything that I want, but everything in regimen, in an equal balance.
Sure. And well, and that gets to the goal setting that you are talking about in your book. That's the way to sort of manage all of this. You can't say, and small goals, right? Manageable goals, not gargantuan ones.
Absolutely. Small and steady wins the race. And it's very important to have those small goals, have your wins, and celebrate that for yourself. Be gentle with yourself.
When you think about the city and where people learn their eating habits, there aren't a lot of, in Detroit, it seems like there aren't a lot of great outlets to learn to eat more vegetables and less candy, for instance. I mean, it's sort of the way that groceries are set up, the way that there's still a liquor store on every corner that sells candy and chips and all of those things. It's almost like you're set up from the beginning to develop bad habits.
Exactly, which is why we're doing this event, because we both know the younger that you instill healthy habits, 9 times out of 10, you will continue that lifestyle.
Right.
Whereas not necessarily that when you're an adult that you want. You can if you set your mind to it. But if I'm being taught, hey, maybe I should drink more water, eat more vegetables at the age of 8. Hey, maybe if I read more, you know, the better it will get, and it will continue to do so.
Yeah, yeah. What about the schools? You're writing a book that's encouraging healthy eating. It seems like that book maybe should be in schools or books like it.
Yeah, there are some. They are in some schools, and I think literacy is extremely important too for any writer, any budding writer.
Right.
They need to read. I personally had a reading challenge. I'm dyslexic, so I use that also as a catalyst that anything is possible.
Right.
It's particularly for the youth. It's not a challenge. People consider it a learning disability, but
Sure.
you just learn differently, and it's an ability to think creative and out the box to follow your dreams.
Right. And tell me, how did you meet that literacy challenge? Was that something that school was able to help you with, or did you have to go elsewhere?
I struggled for a while. My 9th grade teacher picked up that I was dyslexic, and from there I just became extremely aggressive in learning new ways and learning, because English was my favorite subject.
Right.
It was also my most difficult.
But it was also hard,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So with that, it was beautiful. And then I also focused on dyslexia and the dyslexic child in the classroom for my thesis for my master's. So it's something that's really passionate. I don't really lead with that all the time, but it's important.
Yeah, well, and part of this whole campaign that you guys are undertaking is about literacy too, right? Tell me about that end of it.
Well, sure. We know that, hey, even in my classroom, it does not matter what level you're on. We always talk about the big G. So I don't care if you're reading on a 3rd grade level. By the end of the year, we want to see some growth. So we're always talking about growth.
Right.
So if you're on level, I want to see you go beyond your level.
Right.
If you're somewhere in the middle, the goal is, Stephen, I don't want you reading at the same level.
That you came
when
in the
you
door?
came in September,
Yeah,
then
right.
I'm like needing to reevaluate my situation as an educator. But we've got to see growth. And if you do anything for every day for 30 minutes, I don't care. If you read every day, and I tell my parents, outside of the classroom, allow your children to pick books that they like, entertaining books. If your child likes sports, get some sports books. If they like food, they want to cook, cooking books, whatever it may be, allow them the opportunity, take them to the library, check out books.
Right.
30 minutes a night, I guarantee you the confidence will increase, and they'll even want to volunteer more when it's time to read.
Right.
And you
right.
can tell. Like I noticed with my kids, and I'm pretty sure Yvette notices too. In the beginning, nobody wants to raise their hand because the confidence is not there to want to read.
Right.
But once you get them going, I want to read, my turn.
Right.
And even with my 6th graders, the big kids, it was my turn.
Which is something, right? Because you can't get 6th graders to volunteer for anything.
Me. So, yeah. But it's all about making everybody feel comfortable. Don't worry about where you are. Let's just grow together. Let's all of us grow together. And that's the important part, the literacy suggestion that I'm always giving to my kids and my parents.
Right, right. When you're teaching literacy in Detroit schools, I mean, there are some real special challenges too in terms of the population and the environment. How much opportunity is there for kids to really get books, even in Detroit? Obviously, you guys are really focused in your classrooms, though, on overcoming that.
You simply, I know I am one, I will ask. Ask and you shall receive. And so I ask libraries, ask communities, ask agencies, do you have any books? Can you give a couple, a set? And the library, you'll be surprised if you ask how many people are willing to give. And as far as your environment, you have to create that.
Right.
In spite of whatever your classroom environment or whatever is going on the outside, we can't be worried about that. We have to be worried about what's going on in here and take it from there.
You create a community of learning, growth, a safe community. Trust is important. I mean, with my children, we do Memory Minute, which is kind of like centering and meditation.
Yeah,
And just formulate a community to focus and set an intention of having a wonderful day. There are a lot of issues that come up, but there's a corner. And it's not go sit in the corner. This is a corner for me to become aware that I have an issue and I want to calm down or either write about it, we can talk about it later. So they have that mind, body, soul connection because emotional intelligence and self-intelligence is just as important. So, we can't worry about the outside. We have to set the goal and go to
And
work.
make it fun.
Yeah.
And make it
Got to
fun.
make it a little fun.
You gotta do that, especially for little kids, right?
You have to, and you gotta remember as
Silly.
adults and educators, we're human too. You don't want to be bored. Make it fun.
You gotta
for
sell
'em.
it. You gotta sell it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, selling literacy and good health. That's a pretty good pairing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right. That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. You can get more information about our guests at AmericanBlackJournal.org. And as always, you can connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. Plus, you can now hear our program on WDET 1019 FM. We'll see you next time.
At DTE Energy, we believe that we have a greater responsibility. We believe that being part of a community means being involved in the fabric of that community, investing time, effort, and resources in the communities we serve. DTE Energy Foundation is a proud sponsor of American Black Journal.